What do we mean when we use the word disciplines? We use it to denote areas of work, areas of study and craft, areas of knowledge and tradition. It becomes the function through which we separate, purify and segment culture into consumable and navigable zones. We are able to define what a piece of art is by its history as a discipline, and thus are able to consume and codify it, and we are able to define, consume and codify the areas of science, politics, etc. through this same principle. At some point it became part of our culture to do this, to fragment and divide, to make borders and rituals of activities in order for them to be engaged with in a way that can build on the progress made by countless other minds. I suppose that as complex beings thinking multilaterally we divide up our collective tasks, and often find it hard to view things in a macro kind of way that speaks to the world's immanence and open canvas of existence. Possibly this limiting principle, at least as it pertains to collective endeavors, derives from our animal ancestors, who processed each and every object in their world singularly, in relation to its usefulness, and not via the place it occupies in the contextual and immanent web of reality as it is. This helps with all that survival stuff, of course. Disciplines aren't as pure as they are made out to be, however, we know this. And yet, in this society, the discipline is supreme, the codification concrete and monolithic, and the disciplines become strapped to your identity in schizoid frameworks, forbidden from communication.
In the dawn, and before I was even out the door, silent as toddlers on eggshells in brine, I was an immovable pot. Once subtle, now brittle, I found myself in a great feeling of both health and unhealth. In the bath, tied but not nailed, yet topping with brim stones for crows who belch at the school runners off with their heads. We made it on time, but hardly in haste, a threepence width to 9. In gaiety I shone, the car door undone as designed, and pimple pricked with leatherless hat I turned to face the bickering droves of cars where mothers line and wait for children poorly, now stripped of their act to jump in gay, jubilant lines, quite unlike their previous convictions. But I was locked into my room, sir. I was eaten by a dragon. I had my hand so far down a marmalade jar that James Bastion, well, Mr. Green, I see you made yourself present. Do be a good lad and fetch the textbook How to Make Do Without a Pension. Hello, this is Themselves. I'm Ned Green. We have James Moss / Bastion on keys. This is called The Hangover's Confidence. As I step onto the bus, I thank the driver loudly. Loud enough for all of the bottom deck to hear how grateful I am, to hear how incredibly polite I am. Aligning now after riding in the supreme happiness that is the front seat of the 12's top deck, I simply nod to the driver's mirror. I don't have to repeat my thanks because the driver and everyone else on the bottom deck already know how much of a nice guy I am. Outside the cafe, trembling, I open my book at a random page. The page number doesn't matter because I'm not really reading, and I haven't got a fucking clue what book it is anyway. What are you reading, they ask me. Only the second most important work written in the human language, I reply, giving them a real quick flash of the spine. Scrambling now at the corner table for conversation, we talk at length about selfie culture and art, the London living wage, habits of slugs, We prize out an emotionlessness and a sublime sense of the indelicate. Whenever we mention anyone other than ourselves, I gesticulate rampantly, order 2 more lattes, and we both burst into tears. Lattes! An old one just off me ears as the tea heats down and the sea unravels. There's a new but same non-magical centre for learning, where if a wishmaster wishes and a weatherman asks whether, warble flies should be allowed to latch, hatch and cower in cows now glum, even though the sun says it's shining. And on the day before my birthday, it snowed for 6 seconds, but still it stuck like glue. Thank you, cheers, ta. This is a poem about both my grandmas, and both grandmas are both called Audrey. Obviously they didn't know each other because different parents, but it's called The Comfort and the Unburdening. Walking a line to a multitude of unaffordable houses when Grandma Audrey calls, who has more in the bank, to ask me about the comfort and the unburdening she has afforded me. I listen, preoccupied, to not only the mad squawking noises inside my head, but to London's angry 20-somethings in the window overhead, unsure of what they are angry about. I tell her I've reached my destination, my unreal sealed house, then I run like a terrapin down streets of padlocked trees, pulse thumping in the sparrow's throat, having cancelled the call of one small joy. I pack up my tears in fear of finding my eyes child-shaped and bulbous, and just because I rarely use these tissues does not mean that they aren't essential to my living. There is not the curve nor the crack between willow trees revealing a lake-lit scene in Fulham or Camberwell or even Kent for that matter, or if there is, it doesn't belong to anyone. And there's little in the way of poetry upon Westminster Bridge. Thames estuary equity flats known to the agents as the fairest on earth are dying little squares and right angles to me. This is a poem about wanking. Everybody is staring at me. I know so because I can feel it. Every haptic ounce of thee, paranoid thought forcefully befuddles and threatens an expose, but not like on a national scale or anything. About as bad as being a fox and having all of these dickhead parents shooting at you every night. I am facing my monitor, thinking about absolutely nothing can't actually be seen, so I'm able to carry on. Every few seconds I move the lurking cursor and push words of pasted diatribes into new dilemmas, but it's not mine to solve though. If I keep my screen on and stare straight ahead, how can anyone know whether I'm concentrating or not? That's right, I'll do what I like. I'll play a little game. I'll play the how many online Guardian articles can you skim read in a rogue game before your whole face seizes with liability. Good game. I step loudly out of the room and into lights which inflate. I have no choice but to blow a kiss, to throw a fist at the hollow men's scheme. Then I wank into the library toilet where people sit quietly to read. One more. One more. Oh, it's just a short one. It's called I Am Going Into Coalition with the Sun. I am going into coalition with the sun. Its baleful rays should take immediate effect in eclipsing Saturn and Venus, save for Mercury already stamped upon me. I am taking an interest in astronomy. Thanks very much. Cheers. Big up themselves, alright? I'm Ned Green. Tom. Thank you. Bloody hell, that wasn't good, was it?
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Themselves TV 2, second edition of Themselves TV. We just heard some wonderful poetry from Ned Green there, who just really gave it his all. And in a bit, we'll have some more films, some more content. We have Endless Digital Birthdays playing. It's going to be a good one. Unfortunately, some of our hosts from last time can't be here, so you have to do with us, which is a shame. But that's the way it is. And we're really proud and pleased to be joined with one of Themselves directors, Jovan Nepaul. Look over here. He's also just a general pretty activist guy, chair of Lewisham CLP, and we're gonna just chat to him for a bit here about responses to cultural and community responses to the coronavirus and stuff you can do during that. So welcome, Jovan.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it's not like we're housemates or anything.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't feel that.
So how are you doing this fine day? How does is this topic of coronavirus community and cultural responses important to you and to the constituency that you chair?
Oh yeah, no, it is super important. I mean, in Lewisham and across South London, we're one of the poorest parts of the country, whether people choose to believe it or not, and coronavirus has waged some form of class war against a lot of working people alongside the response of the government. So it's very important and it's something that's quite close to my heart.
Yeah, I should say as well, this has been done socially distanced, and we actually live in the same house. So
So.
just in a note.
I don't live there.
Hey, right. Let's talk about what are some of the examples you've seen in Lewisham that have happened.
Well, Lewisham has been the bastion of progressive thinking, of social action, of activism. I think we were the first group. Also, am I looking this way or this way?
You look anywhere. Yeah,
oh, okay, cool.
The whole of Facebook's watching.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God, that's quite an audience.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Lewisham, we set up the first, I believe, mutual aid group in the country. A lot of people may have seen it where it's popped up all across different parts of the UK, but it was incepted here in Lewisham, so that was quite exciting. And it was basically a program of delivering necessities to people who were quite vulnerable, who couldn't leave their house, ensuring that they had adequate food, resources such as toilet paper. We all remember when toilet paper was running out from Sainsbury's and things. And just kind of galvanizing a community spirit. And I was very proud to live in Lewisham when I saw what we were doing locally.
And it was all very much grassroots, wasn't it? It was just
It was kind of emblematic of grassroots organising, just WhatsApp groups, Facebook messages, a few Facebook groups popped off. I feel incredibly honoured as well that we had a lot of our local Labour Party members who were part of the inception and helped get it going. So, like I said, I think it's just great that it started in Lewisham and it's taken itself nationwide. So,
yeah. On the point of culture then too, which is obviously because there is quite a cultural question involved with all of this. It's there's very much, if we think about culture in a more of a broad and general way, it's important the culture we have to respond to this crisis. How do you find that? What do you think the importance of that is under this, while this is all going on? Obviously, this is within the context of, we probably thought around now that we'd be able to return to some sort of normalcy, and we haven't so much. So where do you think we stand now? Obviously, in themselves capacity is we're really trying to soldier on and do stuff, but it's been very hard. And I just wanted to know what your thought on that was.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think this whole pandemic has proven that we're only as healthy as our neighbour. We're only as healthy as the people that we find ourselves around. And naturally, as part of that, we have to comprehend that we're only as strong as the people around us as well. And I think in a culture where things have become super atomized and hyper individualized as well, we also just have to realize that that is not a sustainable way of dealing with any crisis or organizing society around that way. So I hope that this crisis, as unfortunate as it has been, and the kind of amount of destruction that it's caused to a lot of working people across this country, is tapped into a sense of community and re-established or reimagined what we believe community to be. And I think that's a cultural question as much as it's an economic, political one, anthropological one. All of them.
I think from it seems to be, we need that cultural evaluation to even be able to approach the problem. I guess on another topic, which is something we've been exploring, and something we will be exploring in the event coming up on the 8th of November, the themselves Death of Democracy Bonfire Night Special, which you'll all be there at.
Yeah,
of course.
do tune in. That'll be quite exciting.
It'll be good. There'll be more of this.
And more country songs.
And country songs from Jovan. What we've been, obviously a big thing for us is an interdisciplinary approach, multidisciplinary approach. And it seems to me that this is really urgent now, because what we're facing is a problem on such a huge scale that goes across so many different zones of society and culture. So where do you think, what do you think to that? And also, do you think there's ways that we can practically, do to make sure that we approach this from an interdisciplinary standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. At its heart, it is a multidisciplinary approach that we have to take. We can't just look at a social outcome in isolation of politics or economics or anything of that sort. And it requires all sorts to kind of create a functioning society. We've seen a sustained attack on the arts. We've seen attack on welfare. We've seen attacks against working people, an attack on culture. Like I said, we've become so individualized and almost divorced from the idea of community or collectivism, and that has kind of come home to roost, unfortunately. So yeah, I think kind of themselves is a bit emblematic of how maybe society should run, in that it's
plug.
well, no, I mean it's so important that we celebrate all forms of culture, whether that's music, poetry, arts, conversations of interest, conversations of the day like this, and we can help facilitate a conversation that is enriching to society. And I think the same approach needs to happen across the country. Like I said, in as much as we're only as rich as the health of our neighbour, we're only as rich as the contributions that people make. And if we're all restricted to only make a singular contribution, as in an economic output, then we're only doing ourselves a disservice as human beings. Yeah, I'm not a neoliberal robot. I'd rather be a human being.
You hear that here, guys? Jovan is not a neoliberal robot. Get a T-shirt. Okay. So what do you think some very practical things people can do in this time? Because I'm sure people are starting to realize that they have to adapt now. We're starting to realize that. That's why we're doing this. What do you think? There's some like practical ways people can like do some praxis?
Yeah. You use that word, that really important word. Yeah, my favorite word, praxis, about applying political theory into practice. And that's integral if we're to try and change society or make a society as we would like to live in one. There are so many things that can be done. I mean, whether that's online, whether that's in person. I know the restrictions are still about wherever you are in the country, but there are so many things. In Lewisham, we've got the, what's it called, sorry? Yeah, the Lewisham Packed Lunch campaign. Many of you may have seen that this government decided not to feed kids over winter, which is disgraceful. But also at the same time, we shouldn't be waiting for things to get so bad that it turns us into kind of philanthropic beings. We should be defending the rights for children to be fed all the bloody time. But so the Lewisham Packed Lunch campaign, if you check it out, there's like a Just Giving page, I think, on online. Donations, volunteers, whatever you can do if you have the time, or if you have the spare change about that, you can help kids. It could feed like 13,000 kids in Lewisham. Like I said, we're one of the poorest parts of London. And then there's kind of like social activism as well. I was speaking to someone who was attending like an virtual protest to oppose what was going on in India, kind of in the same tone as what's happening on the 8th, the death of democracy. I think we're seeing it all around us, and it requires a local response to uphold the institutions that we care about. There's just an infinite amount of things that people can get involved with, whether that's mutual aid, dare I say it, whether that's in your local Labour Party, if you're that way inclined.
Non-partisan.
Yeah, non-partisan. Whether that's like helping out with packed lunch campaigns or free school meals for children, or helping homelessness, helping at a food bank. Unfortunately, food banks have been a bit of a hegemon now since the Tories have come about, and we need to disestablish that and create a society where people can actually feed themselves. All really good points. Thank you.
I think I'd also like to say, just as a side point, I remember when lockdown started, there was a moment on my street where we created just a WhatsApp neighborhood group. I put a note through the door saying, "Hey, join this neighborhood group with the thing," and I think it was the first time people on my street really had like talked about things, and that's still running now. Is there any other strategies like that you can think of?
Yeah, like community organizing is at the heart of kind of crisis, I suppose. Like we need a community response. So doing the things like what you were talking about, like just checking in on your neighbor, maybe making a WhatsApp group and sending out a message being like, "Hey, we're here to help. We have the time. We can do this." Things are only going to get worse as well as the winter comes, as kind of the second wave. I hesitate in calling it the second wave because it's the first wave that wasn't responsibly cared for. But as the second wave kind of arrives, that's going to bring a load of catastrophe for a lot of communities up and down the UK. So, like, you don't even have to be associated with, like, the Packed Lunch campaign. You can literally just go and knock on your neighbour's door. If you've got a vulnerable neighbour, maybe help them do their shopping. Unfortunately, I suspect things might get a bit worse before they get better, given that they've ended furlough. We're going to see massive unemployment, potential of people being kicked out of their houses. And like I said, it requires a community response where people just look out for their neighbour. As I keep saying, we're only as strong as those around us.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing on my street. It felt really strange to it seems so easy to do, so basic, but just like completely like, this is so weird that we're doing this.
But this is the praxis. This is about re-establishing a long-established culture that has been in the UK of kind of collectivism, communitarianism, that has been lost, I think, since neoliberal discourse has taken over. So yeah, we can change that. And
we've got to wrap up here, but I just quickly add about the Death of Democracy event that's coming up on the 8th of November. Please, if you're in London, there's still tickets you can get, because we're allowed people to come along, because it's outside. So it'll be 6 to a table, it'll be socially distanced, and it's going to be really, really good. I just want to quickly, because it's Jovan's sort of theme, so could you just tell us quickly about that theme before we wrap up?
It chimes with the 5th of November, which, if anyone is aware,
there's going to be fireworks as well.
Yeah, that's when Parliament was tried to be blown up. So, but then also we've seen sustained attacks on democratic practices all across the globe. So hopefully we're not celebrating the death of democracy. It's our job to revitalize and re-energize democracy and actually ensure that people feel empowered enough to engage in democracy. But this is an irony, almost a sad irony, but I think it's really important that we play to the fact that democracy is potentially in its dying days, only from the actions of this government, from Boris Johnson, from a few others across the world, Bolsonaro. We need to do something, and we can't let it die. We can't let democracy die. No.
Thanks, Jovan. That's been really great. So yeah, definitely check that out. There's going to be a publication launch and a mixtape launch. I think the link should be coming. No, I'm joking. There's not going to be a link.
Okay.
No. That was just me being silly. I didn't give Robin a link or anything. Okay, thanks. We're going to move on to our next thing.
Wow.
Thank you to Jovan for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
That's all right. That's all right, housemate.
The proliferation of our fragmented disciplines, in their neat little boxes, seems an extension of the structures we have created, the zones we have divided and isolated from one another, our mindset of blind progression. We exist in a world of disaffected cultural zones that endeavor to not sync up, be it the multitudinal itty-bitty breakdowns of the STEM science subjects, or the countless ologies of academia, or the increasing dichotomies of the arts in all its countless bespoke forms, the fractal microgenres of modern music from vaporwave to goth trap, or the different sectors of society we must enter as different people with different forms and languages in order to partake in, the taxpayer, the youth, the voter, the neighbor, the colleague, the manager, the pensioner, the partner, etc. Think of your friends at this moment. How diverse are their skill areas? How much have your relationships been dictated by areas of practice and work in a machinic fashion? I mean this in terms of how you came to meet or understand each other, in the workplace or in your place of study, or because of your area of development. That is, if you're lucky enough to have an area of practice or development at all, and are not just enforced into some sort of employee regulation white-collar appointment. How much of your life is actually informed by your immediate neighbors or material community? Even if you become involved in your local constituency, you will only be corresponding with the politically attuned, those who partake in the discipline of politics. How are we supposed to approach our multifaceted nemesis within these discipline reality bubbles? The problems of sustainable ecology, virtual post-truth, mental health, sustainable finance, are all problems so humanly messy, so splayed across and interrupting of these zones, yet impossible to perceive of in a macro way. Because of just that, one wonders if the cavemen and women broke down their spaces of communion into such zones. It feels so unnatural to die by these structures.
Can someone please hold my hand? And all the girls walk by with flat shirts and wet stomachs. And I've been pining over you. And all the wretched things you do. And although you never can, darling, I'll be your man. I know my name by now, and it hurt you. This pain inside stole my blood, and I found you too. Can I call you baby, honey? Can someone? These planes on the water, they on the starter, they take all my senses, they let the benches just take off the people who want around, they just don't even know what to say. And then they'll say, but I don't love to wait, but it's not talking out for you to believe. And no, I'm not goddamn, I don't even sigh, but I'm not for you to let me down. Bam, bam. Makes sense. What's it to be? You got your fame of someone take me down, and I love you. I don't even know by now, and I found you too. Can I call you baby? And I've been pining over you. And all the wretched things you do. And although you never can, darling, I'll be your man. Oh no, no, no. Darling, I'll be your man. Oh no, no, no. Darling, I'll be your man. Oh no, no, no. Darling, I'll be anybody's man.
change, and I've got no strap, so I'm gonna have to come down here. Take myself, drink some of this, drink some of this, 'cause I don't even live to say with it. I never leave. You be myself. Faces stop turning taking out the lives of poets. You are my king. As parents in happiness with him, my dreams are void.
I'm hoping that I can at least control that one part of me. I'm taking out the lights out for it. You are my kid. As hemorrhaging happiness fading, my dreams are void. I'm hoping that I can at least control that one part of me. And you be
There's rats about.
I'm looking forward to tonight. It feels like it's been an age since we saw everyone. This guy feels good.
For a normie, for a peasant,
You shouldn't talk like that.
he's the one who's probably judging us, looking at us like we're heathens, which we are. The demonic undead.
Lords of the night.
Besides, people of his sort are the first to raise their pitchforks to subjugate our kind. Why shouldn't we be allowed to sneer? Around here, people coming.
Got the money.
No hello. No pleasantries. Money all you people care about.
Look, I've got the stuff. Have you got the money? What the fuck are you doing in here for? Sir? Sir? Hey, have you got that?
Got the change.
Hey, have you got a lighter? Hey, is it too late to sign on?
It's too late, mate. Come back in the day.
Come on, allergies.
Not my fucking problem. Get out of bed.
Hi. Yeah, I noticed you've attempted painting some of the walls.
Sorry, what are you doing here? You're meant to give me 24 hours notice.
Look, don't start this again, alright?
Stop.
I own this place, kid. This is my fucking room. This is my house, okay? I own where you eat. I own where you shit. I own where you fucking well fuck, alright? Okay, so I'm not having any more of this, alright? Where you have attempted to, I don't know what the fuck you were doing, right? I'm painting over that, I'm getting someone to do it, and I'm charging you for it. I'm going to add it onto the next month's rent, alright? Okay? No,
Yeah, but
oh fuck, look, no. Alright, do you know what, okay, the alternative is I start putting your rent up, alright? I know what you get. I know these fucking handouts you get from the government for just dossing around in your fucking arse, getting high all day long. Alright? So what do you want me to do? I'm going to add it onto your fucking rent next month, or I'm going to price you out of this place. Alright? Stop fucking pretending this is your house. It's my fucking place. Alright?
going to be light soon. We'll have to return to the sanctum.
Otherwise the villagers will chase us from these lands.
I often wonder if this is all worth it. The way people look at us, life in the shadows.
My dear, we'll be forever young. We'll never die. We'll never grow old. We'll burn out before anything like that happens. Fuck. My fangs come out.
Oh, leave it. It hurts a bit in.
Reconnection or dissolution of such purified and strict disciplines could result in the skill sets needed to face our multilateral problems, and thus the task ahead is not an easy one. The dense cultural unpacking and rethinking that must be done, the small dense and practical work, the processes we must undertake and formulate in order to undo these confines and isolationisms, speaks to the heart of our current predicament. To find the balance between community and international solidarity and an idea of what the state is in the wake of the MACHINIC exterior state, the holism we must use to tip the scales between breadth and depth of discipline that are threatening to shatter our material existence. But, though it may seem hard, do not be hopeless. This does us no good, and further impresses the problem in our minds, and thus another mind in the great chain of our quasi-community is lost. So stick with us. One person can actually do a fuckload, as long as you think critically in this regard and at every step and in fiber of your being keep to the path. Sorry for sounding Buddhist there, in fact maybe I'm not sorry at all. Endow your actions and relationships with the principles that we have talked off. You can make a change in your chink of your society. You really fucking can. Have the conversation, commit to your slither of processes and do it well and always, and in this regard we can at least do things for those around us, and love them through doing this. We must become living mediators and networks, bridging gaps in conversations in fragments. The onus is on us now, to create communities and empower communities and think communally and bridge the disparate almost communities of our time, though living networks and mediators. Through collage and disruption, we can create vast collages of things that really ought to just be lumped together, that ought to inform and collaborate and coexist, that ought to be understood as one, the same struggle, the same existence, the same world, the same fight and the same common ground for a better and more empathetic creation that treats others fairly and equally and as part of our network community and community of networks. So, with all that heady stuff in mind, we here commit to collage. We are collegists. We filter and blend between the zones, sidestepping and hot-stepping and floating comfortably as these living networks and mediators, and amidst this collage, we keep to the path. The collage does its little bit to break down the barriers, to make whole the roots of our collective identity and the world as it is, a macro and immanent entity stretched out as one vast thing, and so we collage. Please collage with us.
the glass, I'm falling down. Here's the news, I feed you all by silver spoon. I feel no pain and I feel no hunger. Capture me, I'll take the pain and flip that on its side. I'm an eye for a mark. It gets better as my tongue grows shorter and my eloquence grows thinner. My girlfriend cares about the declination of London venues, and I find that hot. I find that fucking hot. I wish she was an employee so I could pay her off. I find that fucking hot if I could pay her off. My girlfriend cares about the state of affairs in Italy. She thinks about them seriously, and guess what? I find that hot. Some guy, I blew his mind. My IQ of 206. Still too shy. Too still too shy. Cares about the declination of London venues, and I find that hot, and I find that fucking hot. I wish she was an employee so I could pay her off. I find that fucking hot, if I could pay her off. My girlfriend cares about the state of affairs in Italy. She thinks about them seriously, and guess what? I find that hot. direction, skeptical, headlong, mustache. Long time in memories and ad nauseam. Twisting and the surface lies in flames. Just an incision and the surface burns for years. Could be your pedestal. Crush me with your frame. I'll take your name, you'll take my words. Feel them turn to stone, into gold. As heaven itself folds. And I'll love you as best as I can. For my heart's in your hands.
sheltering place and tell me that you love me. Oh, yes, she of my acting, and everyone with a million cards. She smelled the tongue and saw the peace drops. She took liquid silk, and it's a beat in the crop. Pheromones, heavy and blush and weed. I got girls in my head, and I suffocate. Give me the wig and melt the wax and the tip of tall glass. Squeeze tight, and I am the one who falls beneath. Turning my dog into a ring. Unspeakable syntaxer. Choose the right. Choose the right. Attend the sweat. Choose the right. Take the sweat. So choose the right is more, and I covered in black paint that never dries. I wander for hours each and every day, running my finger along the way. And sometimes when the light is right, in the early morning I see images that hold a false power. I see myself reflected in this thick beam. I see an escape to fortune. I see a pipe dream. My heart beats faster as I am transported to a strip. Enemy stands my nemesis. I see a crowd in a Japanese restaurant. A Vespertine, free-stream kind of ocean front. I see 1,000 love hearts, 1,000 copperheads. I see a dream of mine spreading out on her bed. My love through the apple, so I see how she dries her hair in the morning. I see the picture she sends to her boyfriend. I'm a ghost, I'm a ghost, I'm a ghost. I swear in the wall I saw these things, or was I just staring at a screen? Breaking through the roof, I have the best view. I admire you, try to devour you. I'm sorry.
Thank you, we've been Endless Digital Birthdays.
Yeah, a bit anticlimactic, but I'm just here to say bye. Thanks for watching if you did. Thanks to the crew. Look at that. Look at that. Give them a round of applause. Yeah! And also Cameron's there operating the camera, but we can't see her, but she's managed to sneak out. Thanks to Endless Digital Birthdays. Thanks to them. Yeah. Thanks to Ned and Jovan and everyone else, and make sure you come on the 8th of November, Bonfire Night Special, Death for Democracy. Yeah, you better be there, and yeah, stay tuned, get engaged. Bye-bye. Thanks, guys. Woo!